I can start. So yeah, so the reason why you're not seeing my face right now is in my ever attempts to make things 20% cooler and better and more immersive. I'm doing it through OBS. And then my webinars this spring and summer are going to get even better for several reasons, as you'll hear here in a minute, because I now have found a drone that I can actually use as a webcam. So I can literally run a tracking class with the drone just up over my shoulder. It automatically cuts the propeller noise out. It could be like we're, in a tracking class. And, having the ability of, half the class would be classroom style, and then the rest would be, we could be out exploring as long as we don't get too far away from the vehicle with the Starlink setup. So let's see. So yeah, it looks like all right. So let's get this party started. We'll do introductions and say hi and all that stuff after I play this little doohickey. So here we go. Make sure I got the right one queued up. So first, I just wanted to say thank you all for coming. I put together this quick slideshow of the last 2 months of my photography, which I've got some of the most amazing photos of my life in the last 2 months, but I have used my camera nearly not at all because I've been so busy. Um, these I all these I took all when I was down in California. Um, so yeah, they're pretty awesome. And then today I found something super special. Some of you may recognize this, some of you may not, but I finally found the heart of the Pure Vision video that I've been searching for forever. Who knows what that is? Hmm, Anybody?
I do.
Yeah, I'm starting to cry just looking at it.
I certainly
Yeah.
recognize it.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've been there.
yeah, so that's grandfather's camp. I took those photo. I took this drone footage when I was there for my brother's wedding. In like a year and a half, 2 years ago, before my dad really started to kind of get bad. And yeah, I have some other stuff that I'm giving to David Ott to use in their programming. All right, so now you get to see my ugly face. Where is the
Mhm.
button? All right. So,
Oh, there you are.
everybody, just that. There we go. So, how is everybody tonight? Everybody doing good? Everyone's happy, healthy. Where is everybody? Yeah. If everyone wants to just take a second and introduce yourself and say where you're coming from in the world or where you're zooming in from in the world. Um, so that way. So, Dave, you want to go first since you are the underneath me? Oh, I guess not. Go ahead, Jamie.
I am Jamie. I am in northeastern Pennsylvania, but I still am a Jersey girl. I was born and raised in New Jersey. That's
Jersey
the
boy.
connection. That's the connection.
Yeah. It is always wonderful to see you. Uh,
Thank you.
Scott, go for it. Oh, you're muted.
Okay, here I am.
Yeah.
I'm Scott. I live in Oregon on the Mackenzie River.
The fish running?
What's that?
Is it any winter steelhead yet?
Yeah, there's people out there.
Yeah.
I don't have a tag to that.
I'll tell you a story later about me fly fishing in Oregon. It's pretty funny and sad. But yeah, I look forward to visiting with you when I head south.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. So Dave, can you hear me now, Dave? Dave must be the CIA or something. Oh, and go for it.
Moen, I did my tracker classes in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right now I live in around Joshua Tree, California.
Beautiful.
Beautiful desert area. Right now it's raining. We might get snow tonight. Let's see, I did the back-to-back and a medicinal plants class.
Hmm. Nice. What year did you do your back to back?
Probably 95, I'm guessing.
I was
So a while ago. I
sophomore in
just
high
turned
school.
50. Huh?
That's when I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just got out of high school. I was half living at a hippie commune.
yeah.
So,
Oh God. One day I have enough hippie commune stories I could write a book.
uh-huh.
All right, let's see. So Scott went. So I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Rivwacha. Did I say that correctly? Um, this is RWVACHA. Robert? Or is that? Yeah. I can't hear you. You're muted. See if I can unmute. It's so weird. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Yep.
are you hearing me now?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in Point Reyes. I run the Point Reyes tracking school.
Oh no, you look familiar. Were you at the Coyote conference a few years back?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we held a big event down there. It would have been 2019.
Hmm.
18. We rented the lodge there, and a bunch of Tamarack Song was there, John Young,
Yeah, I see him now
lot
and then.
lot of school owners. We were having a conference about how to kind of educate children in this new modern era. And it was a lot of it was a really good time, and I got to stock up on some really small elk with huge antlers.
Oh,
My
yeah.
goodness, that blew me away. The size there. All right, Joni, you want to say anything, or you just want to be recovery?
I can say hi. I'm in Alaska. We have no snow. So everybody who's getting snow, feel free to send it back.
Yeah, it's even my buddy in Fairbanks says it's been like barely much of a winter.
No, we're under a fire watch right now.
Oh
So
God.
yeah. But glad to be here. Got the IV out in time. So
Yeah,
here I am.
good. All right. So JD phone. Yeah, you wanna say hi? JD's iPhone. Oh, that must be all right. Let's see. Sam, you wanna introduce yourself at all? Can you guys all hear me okay? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear.
Hi. Hey, Cassie.
Hello.
You want to say hi and say hi to everybody and tell them where you're electronically flying in from?
Flying in from Southeastern Washington State.
Yeah, probably the same there today as it is here. It was nice today.
It is pretty today.
Yeah. It is nice. Oh, no, Sam, I just saw your message. Sorry about that. Yeah, and sorry about the confusion with the double meetings, and I'm hoping that I'm just keeping an eye on my email here and make sure that nobody's like, why the hell isn't the meeting happening? And this is what happens when you put a person like me in charge of doing things like this. Today. All right, let's see who else. Lizzie, you want to say hi? No? All right. Adam, did we already talk to you, Adam? No. Did we?
I can't freaking.
What was that? Oh, there's Lizzie.
Hi. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my phone here, but
No worries.
yeah, I'm calling in from the Columbia River Gorge. I'm just finishing up my first year of a Trackers Earth Survival program. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I actually used to run that program.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I worked there for 7 years. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
great program.
You need to take a deep breath. Well, welcome. And yeah, I'm right up the road. Still here in Portland. And I also obviously teach the same skills. And I also do private stuff both online and in person. So if you're ever interested in diving a little deeper, you can email me because I need stuff to pay for things. My money, no matter how many walks I take in the woods, I have yet to come upon the money tree when it is in its flowering phase. Uh, Squires, Beth, do you want to say anything?
Well, whoever said they were from Alaska and have no snow, I will happily ship some because we are in a blizzard warning and I just came in from moving snow for the billionth time this year. Yeah, it's a few feet deep and yeah, it's yucky out there, but
Do you have a snowblower or
we have a decrepitly old plow truck that still works because we have an old friend that helps us fix it and it's falling apart, but yeah, plow truck, snow blower, children, parents, and yeah. There's 2 feet of wet heavy snow out there right now, and it's still coming down. So
that's the worst type too, the heavy wet stuff.
yes, that's what I was just telling my younger one. I was like, you realize why there's different names for snow, and my children get it. Yeah, there's powder, and there's the wet heavy, and there's the crusty, and yeah, we live here, and my children get it that there's different names for snow.
One thing I particularly love about snow in when it comes to tracking is how melting snow can make a house cat track look like a tiger track as the snow melts because the animal's footprint comes down and compresses the snow, so it's going to melt slower than the stuff around it, so it'll melt like outways as opposed to evenly. So you got these things that look like mountain lion tracks, but the stride length is that of a house cat. Fun tracking mysteries.
Snow can teach us a billion lessons in and of itself.
Yes. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. So this week has been particularly interesting for me. So currently I am in the west side of Portland, Oregon at my good friend and apprentice's house, Evan, who has been nice enough to give me a place to fix things after this recent episode broke them. And I'm getting good at fixing my business when it breaks. Now I just wish we would stay together one of these times. And I'm hoping that what I'm going to start to talk about tonight and tomorrow, I will be releasing a blog post that will go into a bit more detail. And then I will be releasing my schedule writ large, by the weekend. And I'm always trying to do things as fast as I can, but when it's just me and I've got, Lyme's disease and all the other things going on, I can only do so much. And um, I was thinking the other day when my buddy and I went to the Sportsman show here in Portland, and so I didn't do anything but what I wanted to do for half of a day. And I was like, when was the last time you just did not do something that wasn't work related for any time? And I was like, I couldn't remember. And thankfully, I am incredibly passionate about what I do. I've spent a lifetime, 46 years, perfecting my craft of learning to live more like our ancestors did, while also learning how to be the best possible evolution of a human I can be, and try and embody the way of the caretaker, embody the way of the pure vision that my father that gave birth to the tracker school. And, I just want to take a minute to thank my father for so many things. As you most of you know, I'm auctioning off some of the original illustrations from his field guides in order to raise money, not only for my projects, but I'm also sending over half of the proceeds back to the tracker school and to the efforts to preserve the Pine Barrens Primitive Camp. And just going through family history and just the sheer gravitas of it all has been wonderful but crushing at times. And I'm just like an emotional roller coaster. One minute I'm really happy and then I'm bawling. I'll see a picture of my dad and me, when I was a little one, and it'll get me going. But I'm just so thankful for him because uh without him, we wouldn't be here communicating, meeting new people, building a community of caretakers who are awake, aware, and truly alive and thirst for life and want to get every single drop out of every day of their lives and not just be a member of the mindless gray masses that walk in those ruts every day, day after day, back and forth, paying attention to nothing but their phone and not really ever noticing anything. So, I am the alarm clock that is attempting to wake up people so they can learn how to be human beings again. um Yeah, so, most of you are more or less familiar with my story. This event, which will occur the first Wednesday of every month, is kind of my video catch up with everybody. Once I get on the road and am fully nomadic, it'll take on a different dimension to where I may be doing 2 or 3 of these a week if I stop by someplace cool and I want to show you guys something, I'll put it up on social media. And I'm just getting this. I have literally been teaching for 27 years without, I haven't taken a vacation. Um, there's been obviously not 24 hours a day, but literally for 27 years, everything I do has revolved around leading people back to nature. And I've sacrificed a lot to lead a lot of people back to nature. I was trying to think last night how many people I've taught the bow drill to, and I was just like doing rough estimates based on my time running my dad's school. And my estimate is I've taught approximately 30,000 people bow drill, and that's not counting the videos and things like that. And um, something that still makes me cry to this day is watching somebody blow a tinder bundle into the flames for the first time. That look on their face when they are like, holy shit, I just made fire by rubbing two sticks together. Those are the moments I live for. And honestly, up until a few years ago, um, I moved out here on Valentine's Day. It was 7 years to work for a local organization, and did so for 5.5 years. And then all of a sudden my life fell apart, and not of my doing, and I lost everything. And yeah, I was basically forced to start a race, 2 miles behind the starting line, naked, running on broken glass. And I'm still here. I don't know how, but I still am. And it's my faith in what my vision is, that keeps me going, and teaching keeps me going. The emails and messages I get every day from people thanking me for a video I posted or something I said or a photo. That's what fuels my fire, because uh, I am a tool of creation. I'm a tool of nature. And my purpose is to get people to open their eyes and see, the majesty of the things that are all around them, no matter where you are in the world. You can take me anywhere. I'll find you some beautiful piece of nature in a Walmart parking lot. The problem is most people don't even know they have the choice to be that aware. And once we cultivate our physical awareness, then comes the non-physical awareness, and our instincts start to come back. And then if you want to take it a step deeper, the stuff I'm working with now, if any of you watched the video, it was my 5-part stalking and movement series. It was lesson 1.5 called the Diamond of Oneness. And it's the 4 skill sets that you need to be proficient at, to be truly like aware, and a well-rounded being. And that diamond is, at the top, you've got wide angle vision, right? Sides of the diamond are tracking and awareness. They're twins, they're inseparable. Can't have one without the other. And then the bottom is natural movement, moving the way we're supposed to, moving the way our ancestors did, not the way you do, walking through a parking lot of a grocery store. I'm particularly passionate about movement, because my goal is to make it so to teach you skills so that when you enter the woods, you belong there. You're not just visiting, and you are accepted by that area
Cool.
as being a non-intruder, you know. by learning to match our movements to the ebb and flow of what's going on around us, to that baseline. And a lot of this was born of an experience I had when I was in the most remote place in Alaska I've ever been in my life, and I got uh, essentially an image in my mind of a sine wave of this area that was incredibly imbalanced, like nature-wise, and I now can use that gift on anything in any place. And I walk into the woods here and I read that sine wave and it's all like jerky. And, I can tell where certain clumps of invasive species are. And I can use that same tool to also find where the nearest water source is, or a good shelter location, or a good branch to build a bow drill kit. So my goal in the long and short of it is to design lessons around those 4 diamond points that physical exercises that if you work on will heighten your awareness and therefore allow you to get as much as you can out of or oh so brief lifespans. If you think of how short our lifespan is when compared to nature time or cosmic time, it is nothing. It is nothing at all. So, being that I have so little time on this earth, I want to get as much out of every single day as I can. And I do that through awareness. I do that through learning how to be a caretaker, capital C caretaker, and a capital T tracker. Those will be explained a little more later on. But yeah, so long story short, I moved out here 7 years and some change ago. I'm gonna get my drink real quick. And I, worked with an organization for quite a few years. And then I found myself kind of on my own again. Now, when I left running my dad's school in 2009, people ask me all the time, why did I leave? Or people who were around think that I left for one reason when it was actually one of the finest pieces of coyote teaching my father ever pulled. And in fact, it also was the longest conversation I ever had with my father was over this. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But so yeah, so growing up immersed in the world of nature connection, and every month, I would have like 60 to 100, new friends to play with. And I never imagined myself doing anything else. And then my parents divorced and I moved to suburbia and got miserable and got addicted to heroin. And then my friend saved me and plugged me back into nature. And that void that I was filling with drugs, all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, nature. I'd forgotten about you because I'm a druggy scumbag now. And since that day, I chose to literally follow in my father's footsteps, but with a twist. So, the overall premise for tonight's episode is to tell the real story of why and how I left the place that I could have easily stayed at. And being that I have much better money management skills than my father did, uh, inherited a very healthy business with thousands upon thousands of students all over the world. Um, You know, people ask, yeah, you must have been crazy for leaving that. Why would you leave that? You know, you were set for life. And there's a very good reason why I left there. I left there because one night my father called me, and I left tracker school in the fall of 2009. And he and I and the new business manager, I was director, head instructor, and medical officer at the time, we're kind of butting heads on a few things. And there was some other like family stuff going on. And it was also a time in tracker school's history where we were working 26 weeks a year, 150 people a week, twice a month, 300 people, anywhere from, 170 to 300 people per month. 24 hours a day for 2 weeks you're on. I think during the standard class, my last year teaching, I taught 24 hours of lecture in 1 week alone. So one thing, if you read or listened to a video I made a while back where I read a journal entry that my father wrote to himself when he all of a sudden, my father literally went from, as he lovingly called himself, a big, dumb wood cutting hick, because that's what he did to make money, firewood, to being a best-selling author and, guru and, inspiration to countless people. And I remember as a kid being around tracker school and it just being the most magical thing. I was like Mowgli, I'd run around the woods and the farm, and I knew all my animal friends, all my plant friends. I knew the river so well that I could walk down there with my fly rod on opening day and catch a fish every single cast and watch people just leave fishing, because they weren't catching anything, because I just knew where all the fish were from snorkeling the river. I actually one time had a guy snap his fly rod over his leg when he saw me go walk down there and catch two fish back to back. But yeah, so, and back to my departure from tracker school. So just like me, when I went into business for myself, when my parents started the school, they were young and naive and didn't know much about the ways of business. And I really wish I had read some of this stuff before I actually formed what was my first business after I left my last job, where I worked at a place here in Portland, because it would have saved me from a lot of pitfalls, because my parents made a lot of the same mistakes I did early on. So, the tracker school was born of this pure vision of humans and nature reestablishing the crucial relationship that they once had. And my father wanted to see literally an army of caretakers, going about the world, helping to re-educate and lead people back to nature. Now it's scientifically proven that even just 5 minutes a day outside improves your overall health. Being in nature can literally help you heal from any physical or mental trauma or injury. And that's why I'm so open with my story about being a former addict, because it's one of those, not only am I the president, but I'm also the client type thing. And then, funny enough, you know, I have my past weaponized by people who are seeking to put me out of business. Um, you know, they say the reason I haven't been successful is because I was on drugs again, which is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard in my life. Um, I'm like, really? You're gonna weaponize, you're gonna stigmatize something I'm completely open about? Um, and then, you know, other people pick up the rumor and spread it. And very few people have been adult enough to actually reach out to me and call me and talk to me and see how I'm doing. You know, even people who at one point I considered such close friends, I would have died for them. You know, I would have taken their children, adopted their kids had they something happened. You know, I found out just some horrible things. And you know, I found myself in a position with literally nothing. You know, I lost everything, lost my life savings, uh, lost the person I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. Um, all my friends kind of disappeared and moved away. And I had invested my entire life savings on a business model that was no longer viable for my new situation. So that's what I've been spending the last 3 years doing, is trying to salvage as much of that as possible, you know, while continuing to grow. And then, of course, I've had two other fairly major upsets that have set me back. But now I'm back, you know, I'm on fire. Um, and with some of the stuff I'm going to say tonight and tomorrow's blog post and the video release, you're going to see why. I answer to very few things in this world. Nature is one of them. My students are another. I love my students to death. Most of my students, you know, can call me anytime. They all have my phone number, email address. I'm happy to, you know, I've helped students, you know, get their cat out of a tree, you know, do anything. Whereas my dad, especially in his later years, was much more closed off. And that was born of the fact of his ignorance of lack of business. Because when he signed his first book deal, he got presented with this, for at the time 1980-ish, 1978, a large number, and jumped at it. But he didn't read the fine print, where, you know, he only got 0.05% royalties. And he also gave them the power to rewrite anything he sent them, as they saw fit. So he would send them manuscripts and they would publish the book, and they kind of built my father into this superhero, you know, who could track anything, who could do, you know, mystical feats of, you know, magical endurance. And don't get me wrong, my father, you know, was a badass and could do a lot of really amazing things that I cannot explain. I can do some of them as well. But he didn't have the emotional intelligence to deal with the kind of idolatry that the media had built him up to be. So he just walled himself off. And what makes me so sad is that, you know, not only was I not there when my father passed, but my father, a person, you know, I'm looking at a shelf full of 20 something books that he wrote. He was adored by hundreds of thousands of people, easy. But he died one of the most lonely people on earth. You know, his best friend being his my stepmother Celeste. Because he grew up in a upbringing. My grandfather was a Scottish World War II vet. Very typical, stern, uh, communication, the healthy communication skills were not, on the top of the list on either side of my family. Um, and my father didn't have the tools to deal with all of a sudden, having this school that was his dream. And then a certain point came, and, all of a sudden there's hundreds of people, and there's people, like literally thinking he's a living god. And it just caused him to isolate and isolate and isolate. And the school obviously would grow. I think when in my years there, the biggest class we ran was 200 people. Uh, and that's a lot, especially when there's only 5 instructors and 10 volunteers, which is why I'm super big on teaching, individuals or a couple people, because a lot of the skills I teach are very technique and form oriented. And if you've got a huge group of people, it's hard to really get the nuance in that is needed. So anyway, back to this me departing ways of tracker school. At that time, 2009, and I'm going to be speaking in grand generalities here, and I'm going to state this on recording that, you know, if you took a class between 2009 and my father's death, you got an awesome education and learned a whole hell of a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that like when I left, all of a sudden the school, went to crap, because that's not the case at all. That's not why I left. And some of my good friends, Matt and Carmen Cordino, some of the most talented, practitioners of ancestral arts there is, not to mention the other folks who work there. But it had kind of grown to this point where there was certain types of people around. There was a certain type of people that viewed my father as kind of this idol or this living god. And then there was another kind of subset of people who would do anything they could to like curry favor with him, to get closer to him. And that's something I even struggle with still. When people find out who I am, I have to question, is this person being friendly or being nice to me because I'm Tom? Or are they doing it because I'm Tom Brown III, son of Tom Brown Jr., and one of the, myself being one of the more experienced wilderness educators on Earth, other than people who still live as hunter-gatherers. And that, not knowing, and we can listen to our inner voice, our inner vision, but my inner vision is actually responsible for a large portion of what the position I'm in, because my inner vision chose to maybe mislead me for a reason. But even though it's been really bad years, I wouldn't trade a single thing, because it's been such an immense learning experience. I do, it does suck that my mom passed away, and my dad passed away, and my dog of 18 years passed away. And I parted ways with the person who taught me how to be a human being. and taught me how to be emotionally intelligent, and my life savings, all like literally overnight. My life is flipped upside down. And thanks to the fortitude given to me by my father, I've been able to endure. But I'm getting to the point where like it's literally the amount of stress and workload I'm under is literally killing me. I also, as I mentioned, I've had Lyme's disease for 40 something years, so that doesn't help either. So that's going to make what I'm going to say next sound completely ridiculous. So teaching is my fire. It is my fuel. It is my life. Showing somebody something new in nature and seeing the sparkle come into their eyes, or seeing somebody struggling with something and helping them, and they go from being like gray and angry and all of a sudden color comes back into their face and their eyes sparkle again. And that's what I live for. The way of the caretaker, the way of the student, and the way of the teacher, and always trying to do the best I absolutely can with the information, resources, and tools that are at my disposal. And always, try to be impeccable with my word. So anyway, back to 2009, my father started to notice that I started to develop some bad characteristics. I let my ego take control. I was T3. I'm Tom Brown the third. And it kind of using that as a tool to uh it's almost like drug addiction in a lot of ways. You get addicted to that attention that you're getting because for some reason you think you're more important than another person or the alder tree outside my yard. I'm just a person who happens to know some cool things. That's all I am. So he started to notice that I was turning into a mini version of him, and the bad parts of him, the walling off, the isolation, the fear. My father was terrified of going for a walk in the woods with like an individual or a couple people, because he thought if he stepped on a stick and broke it, they would judge him for it. um you know and so anyway, he calls me 2009, and we sit down and we start talking, and we talked for about 3 hours. And at the end, he said, "Son, I need you to do me a favor." And I said, "Sure, Dad." And he said, "I need you to leave here and go far away and start your own school. And I want you to start your school with the pure vision that Tracker School was started with, and learn the tools to not fall into some of the traps I have. Which is why, I'm able to have close relationships, with my students, and not, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. We all are. And he was literally felt like he couldn't do, and when you're around 300 people who paid a bunch of money to take class with you, they watch you like a hawk. So that feeling it's draining like crazy. And he said, "If you stay here, and I'll be around for another 20 years maybe," he said, "you'll just become a little clone of me. And even though you have a lifetime of skills and can survive pretty much anywhere and track any animal. You need to find your own stories because you are only going to be able to recycle mine so many times. And I sat there and I'm like, so you're firing me? He's like, no. I'm actually giving you a promotion. And he says, you being that you were around here when you were a child, you remember the spirit that gave birth to this place, the sheer joy of living in the now, of finding the grandeur in the small things most people miss. The community aspect of this group of people, strangers coming together for this week-long experience, people who in normal life would have never ever come into contact with one another, sitting around the fire talking. I think one of my favorite tracker school late night fire stories is watching a US senator, a movie star, a street punk rock kid, and a nurse argue about it was like a funny argument about something. I can't remember what it was. I think it was about field hockey for some reason. But I'm like, here's a senator, a movie star, and like a dirty street kid, and they're all interacting and acting like peers. And all those walls, all those masks were shed because when we're in nature, we don't have to put on those masks that we all carry with us, right? We've got a mask that we put on when we go to the grocery store. We have a mask that we put on when we go to this place. I am the destroyer of masks. I truly believe, and I'm sure most of you do as well, that as long as whatever you're doing doesn't infringe on anybody else's ability to live their life the way they want to, you should be able to be who you are all the time. A funny story, my first day at kindergarten, I can remember this so clearly. We pull up at the school, and I went to this cool old-fashioned like farm school where kindergarten through 7th grade was in one room and 8 through 12 was in the other. There was only 60 kids in the whole school. So, I could speak fluent French by the time I was in 2nd grade. And anyway, I remember them both stopping and parking the car, and they both took like a deep breath at the same time, and they turn around and they go, Tommy, we should have talked to you about this sooner, but listen. So this is school and it's not like home. You can't say fuck. You can't say shit. You can't like call people an asshole. And I was just like, what? Why? Like everybody talks like that. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around it because, growing up in New Jersey, you use a lot of foul language. So, I was introduced to literally my first mask, and I just find it so funny that, things are acceptable in some settings and not in the other. We should all be able to be who we are, the core of that onion that makes us up, those many layers that are the complexity of our individuality. Yeah, we don't need masks. And that's, one of the primary things around this diamond of oneness that I'll be doing. So anyway, long story short, he told me to leave and learn how to become emotionally intelligent, to be all the best parts of him and leave all of the bad stuff behind, so that one day I could reach far more people than he ever did. And I remember a feeling somewhere between sheer glee and wanting to crap my pants. So literally, I wrote this email to the entire staff expressing a bunch of concerns I had and said, if these things don't change, I'm going to leave. I'm going to quit. Knowing damn well that, you know, nothing was going to be agreed to by my father. So 3 weeks later, me, my soon to be ex-wife and 4-year-old daughter hopped in a U-Haul and moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I started a school called the Primitive Arts Collective. And funny enough, Trackers Earth, the company that I moved out here to work for, they were my first customer when I started my own school. And that's how I met the founder, who became a business mentor of mine for many years. But Primitive Arts Collective, I literally was like beating away students with a stick. I talk to my friends and I talk about my debt and how it's just crushing me. I used to be able to, you know, when I first left Tracker, in a couple of weekends, make enough money to pay off all of my debts and be fine, you know. In fact, there was one weekend where I made so much money, like I almost wouldn't accept it. But it was a group of really wealthy people. So I didn't feel too bad. So that's why it just boggles my mind now, as somebody with 46 years of practical experience and 30 years of teaching experience, why it's been such a struggle to get things up and running. And a huge part of it has been lack of financing, due to the fact that I lost my life savings right at the beginning. I've had to do everything old school, hanging flyers with my photography stuff. I go to farmers markets and I do macro photography of people's crafts, and then, you know, try to sell the marketing packages where I'll photograph their inventory. But, you know, always trying to teach. You know, teaching is first and foremost. I can't, the moment I do anything else for too long, Intervision beats the shit out of me. That's why, you know, before I left Portland for my failed move to California, I was offered a job for $110,000 a year, photographing machine parts and putting them up on a website, you know, full benefits. But I would have had to spend 2 hours every day in the car, working 5 days a week, selling my time to chase somebody else's dream so I could get a few days off a week. And I said, no, thank you. Because that would have killed me faster than anything. You know, we are so taught in our society that happiness is money and possessions, and money is important. I know that now more than ever, which is why that what I'm about to say is going to be even more absurd. So, I've learned so much over these last 3 years about business, about marketing, um, and, you know, they all require money. There's a guy up the road, he started a school. I've never heard of him. And every weekend posting photos of, you know, 20 people, 15 people. So I wrote him an email and I was like, hey, you know, we were talking about primitive skills. And I asked him, where do you find your students? And he was like, oh yeah, I put about 25K a quarter into advertising. I'm like, my business made negative $18,000 last year. So, we live in this pay to play environment. I know a guy right now, I could send him $15,000, and in a month or two, there would be a 5 paid featured article about T3 and the track lights and T3 photography and Outside Magazine or something like that. And this idea that if you have, you can get ahead much faster than if you have not. And luckily, I was blessed with my name. It's also, one of my favorite songs by the Avett Brothers has a line that says, nothing like the love that's worth sharing. How's the line go? And I'll remember it in a minute, but yeah. So I've been beating my head against the wall for 3 years trying to figure out why I struggled to get students. I know part of it has had to do with things happening, and like I just get ready and getting set up and getting good group, and then I uproot everything and move somewhere else based on somebody else's offer, which I'm thinking is my next evolution, only to find out that it is a 4 steps behind devolution. I finally decided a little while ago that I can't rely on anybody else. I can't believe what everybody tells me. And now in this time post TBJR, now that my dad's not around, uh I'm really saddened by some of the things I've found out that have been happening in the community. I mean, I've literally found out that there have been people creating fake social media accounts and flagging my posts as offensive that have to do with my class schedule or this, that, the other thing. And I just think, like, how could you have ever read one word my dad wrote or took a lecture and do something like that to anybody, much less his son, who possesses, the only other person on earth that possesses close to the amount of information he did and is ready, willing, and able to share it. Anyway, I hate money. I really, really, really dislike money. Whenever I do a consultation with people about like private sessions and it gets to the money part, I'm accused of chronically undercharging for somebody with my experience level. It's like, I have a friend who people pay $1,200 a day to go sit and meditate with. They sit on a carpet, don't talk, and they meditate. And I'm like, it just boggles my mind, And I asked him, I'm like, how in the hell do you get people to do that? And he's like, you just have to have confidence. And if they want that bad, they'll do it. I don't even think I would accept that much money from somebody, if they right now, if they wanted a single day of class, because I wouldn't be able to give them what I believe their money's worth. Which leads me to the point of all of this rambling. So first, it starts off with my short to midterm goal. My father's celebration of life is coming up early June. So I can leave here, head back towards Jersey. I need to somehow get rid of my Subaru and get a van, because I tried, and it is really hard to be a primitive skills instructor and a professional photographer and filmmaker in a Subaru Crosstrek, even with the roof tent. um, and, you know, those of you know, I've been doing a lot of online programming ever since COVID. Most places have. And I hated it at first because when I teach publicly, I pace. I use my hands a lot. And learning how to have to sit still and, you know, it took me like 6 months. But, you know, we humans as tool users, you know, the internet, instant communication across the globe, especially with things like Starlink, you know, being able to broadcast a class 50 miles from the nearest town is amazing. And I am a tool. No, I don't mean it in like a derogatory term, but no, I am a tool of nature and of creation. And as a tool, my job is to show people the magic of nature and true freedom through learning the skills that our ancestors used to live close to the earth. And teaching, you know, of all the things that have happened, you know, I used to have a few things that I could go do where I could push all the BS aside and just be completely in the now. You know, photography was always one of them. You know, fly fishing, walking in the woods. I've lost all of those. The only thing I have left that brings me like sheer joy is teaching. So my if Gandalf were to appear in front of me right now and say, T3, I will grant you your perfect life as you see it for the next 2 years. And that would be to literally spend 2 years driving back and forth across the country, north to south, east, west, collecting interviews for the documentary that I'm making about my father. Writing his biography, which I've also started on, making a documentary about me, making a documentary about my dad, and then also posting up in certain regions of the country for a month or more and saying, hey, if you want a private class or you can get some people together, I'll bring the skills to you. In fact, whatever vehicle I end up getting to do with, I'm going to get a cheesy white magnet sign that says skills, but with a Z, and then -2-U. Because when you don't have to pay for a plane flight and things like that, I can charge less money. And my goal is to provide the highest quality nature education possible for the lowest cost possible. And all my business friends who are successful, you know, when I had my schedule up, they're like, dude, you should be charging twice, if not 3 times what you charge. And I'm like, yeah, but it just doesn't feel right. And I don't need that much, you know? So in a couple days when I release and this is for my online open to the public classes. So I teach an 8-part, 16-hour long class called the All-in-One. It's basically a 2-hour webinar on each kind of area I teach. You know, it starts with wilderness, safety and survival, awareness, tracking, natural movement, nature photography, the way of the caretaker. I'm forgetting a few, but there's 8 of them. I teach a 6-part bone tool and jewelry making class online. I teach a 6-part awareness class online, a 4-part way of the caretaker class, a 2-part track photography class. I teach a whole bunch of online classes. from now on, those classes will no longer have a fee associated with them. I will, though, however, ask that you acknowledge that I put effort into, making this program. And either based on that or based on your budget, or if you want, people to really be able to take it for free if they truly can't afford it, that you put $1 in the box. I'm working on with Squarespace on designing a widget, so people can, essentially pay what they, a custom amount. So you could, anyone here right now, anyone watching this recording, any class that I put up that is, in the public, open to the public, there are classes that I used to charge anywhere from $300 to $600 for the set, no fee. Because one thing is with Zoom, it doesn't matter if I have one person or 100. I don't have to get any more Mojo blanks ready. I don't have to collect any more wood. It's a little bit more on the email side, but I'm good at that now. And that was one of the promises I also made to my father, was to, provide nature education, lead people back to nature at whatever cost. And that's what I'm attempting to do. I want people to lose their fear of the natural world. I want people to learn how to go into an area and caretake it and make it into a better place. I want people to learn to get rid of the hierarchy of life and think that, a horse's life is more important than a cow and all that nonsense. I want to see, I can't wait till the next time I see somebody blow their first Tinder bundle in the flames. And so, yeah, so that's basically it. All of my, open to the public online programs, and there's going to be quite a few of them, will be, essentially free of charge if you truly can't afford it. I just do ask that you, if possible, contribute something, because I need to live, I need to eat. I'm still 20 pounds underweight. I'm getting there. I'm getting the weight back finally. And I also am building a digital history museum of my dad's school. That's going to include tens of thousands of photos and other scanned memorabilia, starting in 1977 all the way through to the modern day. You'll click on the timeline, it'll expand out. You'll be able to click on a year and see photos from different classes. And I've got some great ones. Oh my goodness. I found a photo of an instructor the other day who's now, getting up there in years, and she looked like she was like 14. It's taken in 1979. I haven't counted the photos, but I would say I have about 12,000 photographs and 5,500 slides. Some of which, I just had when I, got that we're in with the memorabilia that I've been auctioning off. And then this part of the country is replete with old school tracker students, because my dad used to come out to the Oregon and Washington every year for like the first 5 years the school was around. And since coming out here, I've, you know, re-met people who were instructors when I was 5. You know, actually in 2 days, I'm gonna go have lunch with my friend Walt, you know, who was an instructor when I was 4, I think. He and his wife were both instructors, and he's 86. And there's a whole community of elders around here. My friend Norma, she took her standard class 29 years ago. And ever since, on every solstice and every equinox, she hosts a fire ceremony. And for 27 years, 4 times a year, she has held this tradition. And it's grown into a, you know, to affect the world in its own special way. And as far as my other classes go, so my private online stuff, my private in-person classes, that stuff is already built on a sliding scale because I don't want to take any more money from you than you can afford. And the other driver of this is throughout all these business struggles that I still have. I've seen so many classes online, you know, be it a business class or photography, where I'm like, man, I wish I could take that class. I would learn so much, and it would probably shave like 6 months off of, you know, I feel like Andy Dufresne climbing out of Shawshank Redemption right now. I'm like this far from the end of the tunnel. But I was thinking, like, man, if I could take that class, it would be so helpful. And even though a person in my financial position has no business doing this, I'm feeling extremely intervision directed to do so. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you the truth of a long-standing lie. And this doesn't matter if you've taken a class with me or my dad or John Young or any of the other, you know, the greats out there. We are lying to you. We never taught you anything. We just reawoken what is literally ingrained in your DNA. Long before we had cheap plastic disposable crap phones, we were making things with sticks and rocks and animal hide and animal bones. One way I can prove this to you is tell you to take off your shoes on a nice soft sand grassy spot and walk from that spot across a gravel driveway. And the person will go charging up to the edge of that gravel like they're on their way into Starbucks. And as soon as they hit the gravel, they instantly drop into the fox walk position. You know, they lower their center of gravity. They don't commit all their weight to their steps before they take it. So we remember these skills. You know, we've had iPhones since 2007. That hand drill kit over there has been around for 200,000 years. The other, you know, and it brings up another thing. What I love about what I do, the skills I teach are at the height of their technology. You know, the only one I can think of that's the real improval, other than like metal knives versus stone, is like nylon rope for bow drill as opposed to using natural cord. That's like one of the only ways, like with modern, you can use something from the modern world to take a primitive technology to make it a little bit easier. But yeah, if you think about it, a lot flint knapping been around for 1 point something million years. That's why anytime I get into a discussion with people when the cultural appropriation thing comes up, and I always gently remind them that, there is not a single skill that I teach that was not in use literally for millennia before the historically accepted timeline of when people made it to the Americas. And I think people think that they associate it with Indigenous Americans because they are our closest historical reference to people living skills. One thing I want to give you guys a bit of homework before we end. Go to like a university's library online and research digitized journals of people. And most universities have them. And find ones that are back from people who arrived here in the New World and about their encounters with the First Nations people, with the Indigenous Americans. It'd be like the middle of winter, and the Spaniards would be like bundled up in this metal and stuff. And they're in a tribe, and people are walking around with like a cape on, and that's it, and a loincloth, a breech clout, and they were amazed that like the indigenous people's teeth are so much cleaner and healthier than ours are, and all these things. If you look at people who were quote unquote kidnapped by indigenous tribes, they never wanted to go back. When they came to get rescued, like they didn't, most of them wanted to stay in this new lifestyle. The communal division of labor, hunter-gatherer lifestyle, and hence all the skills I teach and many more. So yeah, so I'm going to be doing a more formal write-up of this that kind of explains how it's going to work. I still have some tech stuff I have to figure out as far as accepting payments. But yeah, literally you're going to see within a week there's going to be approximately, I would say, 40 plus hours worth of online education that I'm going to be putting up over the next few months that, if you so choose, you can attend for free. I just ask that you, think of people who might not have any money who could really benefit from learning the skills and help them out. I don't do this job, nor did I start doing this job to get rich. As long as I can pay my bills and eat a steak every so often, I'm good. The photography thing gets kind of expensive, but is what it is. Yeah, I don't require much. I'm a simple human with a lifetime of cool experiences to share, skills to teach, and most importantly, I have this. So in this box is enough written material from my father from anywhere between 1977 and 1995 that never appeared in any book or class that he left for me. He actually gave that to me before I left. And I was like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Teachings." And I said, "Well, don't I already have them?" And he said, "Not these ones." And I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to do with them?" And he's like, "You'll know when it's time to use them." And hence the child of that is that this diamond of oneness that I am going to be talking about at a later date. That is going to be the first free online class. It's going to be 4-hour-long sessions where I talk on each one of the diamonds and exercises you can do to heighten your awareness. But always remember that with awareness, the most important lesson always is choice. Simply making the choice to be more aware, making the choice to hold the door for somebody as opposed to letting it slam in their face. I don't know how people cannot hold doors for people. Like, it seems to be really bad out here. Yeah, you know, I every day, no matter how crappy I feel, after 3 years of waking up literally in an adrenaline state, living on the edge, every time I leave my domicile, I suit up, I put a smile on my face, I'm kind to every person I come into contact with, I smile at everybody I see, I offer to help people, and it spreads. A lot of people don't realize, but we are all connected globally. Is it coincidence that certain skills popped up at the same time in the ecological record, but thousands and thousands of miles apart? It's not like Grog invented flint napping and called his buddy, on a rock cell phone. It's like, "Oh, check out this new thing where you break a rock and you make something that'll cut you." No. It was just, once a thought is out there and you're trained and you know how to listen and block out all the noise, the answers come to you. Many of the skills I know, many of the skills I practice, I was never taught. I was taught the principles of how a skill set works, and then I can take those principles and use them in any environment I'm in. So, yeah, that's the beauty about my style of teaching. So thank you for bearing with me and listening to me talk for way longer. Actually, no, the original one was supposed to be till half past. So yeah, I will be updating my website over the next couple of days. Oh, a couple other things. Check notebook. I will be resuming the auctions on Monday. I got some really cool stuff I'm gonna put up. And I'm also one of the things that got brought back to me, I didn't even realize I had, was a bunch of framed photography of mine from when I used to, do the farmers market circuit. So, for instance, this picture right here, it's sorry for the glare. So it's an orb weaver. There's a very powerful story associated with this photo that some of you have heard me tell. And basically, I was at the farmer's market. A woman saw it from like 75 yards away, leaves her family, comes running to my table, grabs this thing, and she goes, "Oh my God, where did you take this? Were you in like the Amazon or Papua New Guinea? And I'm like, no, took that like a mile away from here. And she says, there are things that beautiful around here. And I literally started crying. And I said, ma'am, do yourself a favor and just look around. Look small. Be like the mice people. Find the grandeur in the small things most people walk by. You know, that you can find that magic anywhere. So yeah, so I have a few cool prints. Another one is this. I gotta show you this one. So I was actually doing a gear review video and my drone was filming me and I was had a backpack on and I actually took this photo. So this is another orb weaver, but it's probably hard to see unless I get this reflective stuff doesn't do well. And but basically, come on, you still. So it's hard, kind of hard to see, but this yellow orb weaver has a yellow jacket underneath it, and the yellow jacket's arms are like crossed like this across its chest. So I've got a couple of these, and I think I've got a barred owl print and of the flower print over there. So I'm gonna add some of my items to the auction this week, and you know, I'm sending over half of what is generated through the auction back east to help buoy my family's legacy and help in efforts to preserve the Pine Barrens, a place that's, you know, sacred to me and many of us. So, you know, long story short, I'm done not relying on anybody else, but you know, me believing in people I shouldn't have, who I thought had my best interest at heart, led me to this point in space and time. And no longer will I let that happen, you know. It's not saying I'm never going to work with somebody, another organization, or become a hermit, but I'm just much more wary, but I still have my love for the world and for humanity. And I think that we still have time to change things so that our children and grandchildren will have more green spaces, more wild things to see. And not only our relations, but our more than human family as well, because they have just as much as a right to do whatever the hell they want than as we do. So, as my father before me, I will do this job until I take my last breath. I don't take days off. My vacations are when I get to go somewhere cool to teach, and I'll spend 2 days extra before I fly home. So that's one of the reasons why the like nomadic portion and going on the road and going to all these places. My dad also gave me some sort of weird treasure map that's got Loran coordinates that I have to figure out. So that I'm looking forward to that. But being that I've been in one place for so long, even though I've moved 11 times in 13 years, I'm ready to just wake up in the morning and be like, which direction should we go today? And whatever pops in my head, I want to wander without time, destination, but with the expectation that I will make a documentary that will honor my father and my family's heritage and the lineage behind it. I will take some of the most amazing photographs you'll ever see, video as well. I will document and live stream the whole damn thing. And, you know, because if these stupid van life people can do it and not teach anything, I should be able to do it if I'm teaching stuff. So yeah, and I'm willing to, like I said, it's I hate talking about money. If you want a private class, reach out to me. You can book a free, a half-hour Zoom session, so I can decide if I'm able to teach you what you want to learn. But yeah, I feel like that if I just give more, that I will get something back for once in 3 years, and not just enough to like barely eke by, because I had always been smart with my finances, and yeah. So anybody have any questions, thoughts, commas, queries they want to ask? Oh wait, let me check the chat. Oh, one other cool thing I want to announce. I am going to be building a nature style basically Wikipedia, but for nature educators and naturalists. So on my website, you'll be able to log in, and it'll be, users can generate stuff. But it's going to be for like, hey, here's notes for a bow drill lecture or a lecture on, sign tracking. Here's photos of this animal's track, here's a photo of the actual animal, and it'll all be copyright free. So essentially a place that will allow people to get materials to lead more people back to nature. So I've got that project to work on, the documentaries, the biography, and other stuff as well. Yeah, and I love it all. I wouldn't trade other than losing my parents, who I miss terribly. Even though they're around me right now, I can feel them. There isn't a single thing I would change about the last 3.5 years, even though it's been the worst 3.5 years of my life, because I've learned and grown in so many ways that it's staggering at times. Now, if I could just like get a couple days to rest, I would be good. But yeah, it's just I physically can't. But so yeah, so tomorrow, like I said, I'll put this recording up, and then I'm going to be releasing a Word form of tonight. And then I'm also, now that my Remarkable got me my warranty replacement paper tablet in the mail, I can map out my schedule on a calendar. So I'll have my schedule posted, I would say probably by Sunday. And yeah, and I'm going to do some experiments as far as like times a day I'm going to run classes. So some people are saying 5 o'clock is too late, for East Coasters. So I might start classes go from 3 to 5. We'll see. It's all one big experiment, right? One big game of life. But yeah, anybody have anything they want to share before we part ways for the?
I just want to say thank you, T.
Well,
I
thank
think I'm finally, I'm going to be 76 this month, and I think I'm finally finding where I fit in.
Yeah. You
My
look
whole
great.
life is
You
my
look
whole
great
life
for
has been like
26.
that. So maybe it wasn't with your dad.
Yeah.
It's like I never have
Well,
any like you. I never have any money, but
I look forward to coming and hanging out with you when I'm on the east side.
not sure where I'll be. You know,
I'll find you.
uh,
Cassie, I actually, there's like, I'm looking at the list of people on right now, and I'm like, pretty much going to visit every single one of these people, well, except for, Lizzie, who I haven't met until tonight. But yeah. But yeah, anybody else have anything they want to say? Joni. Joni is one of my favorite people on the entire earth.
Just big love to you, T.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You are a huge inspiration to me. And oh yeah, we gotta talk. I'll message you about the whole Anchorage thing. Because I finally got news from my buddy about when he's gonna be in Flagstaff. So
Sounds good.
hopefully I can come help if you want. Or
We'll talk. We'll
yeah.
talk. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else going once, going twice? And trust me, normally my normal online stuff is much more together. This originally I planned on filming this as a solo video, and I probably still will. But then I just decided to just do it with the free session, so that's why it's kind of been scattered. Because I got my page of notes here, but I don't teach out of a notebook. I stopped doing that 15 years ago. So when I have to like look to make sure I'm covering things, I get scattered. So, all right, y'all. Well, so don't forget every Friday night at 5 p.m. is T3 Reads TVJR. Then an up and coming video series where Tom Brown III reads chapters from his father's books. That has been really amazing. It has sent my YouTube metrics through the friggin' roof, to where I might actually be able to make 49 cents, from them one day. Yeah, their metrics to get like to where you get paid. It's like some of them are. I'm like, how is this even pot? The one I have to have 3 million shorts views in a year, and I'm like, I can't think of enough minute and 30-second long things that I can post to get that many views. I don't know. I guess I just got to go hang around downtown Portland a little more and film. I see some pretty wacky things there. All right, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me. And as always, I am omni-reachable. So email me, get at me through social media. I'm always down to, talk with anybody. And like I said, I personally plan on all of my electronic dispensing of knowledge is cost free, So if you want to call me and ask about a combo of woods for bow drill, I'll talk to you for an hour about it, and we'll be happy to do so. And not expect anything in return. So yeah, don't, I was put here for a reason, and that was to share what I know and what I've spent my life learning, practicing. So I can only do that if you call and ask, or text and ask, or WhatsApp. God, I cannot wait to stop using social media. Please. All right, everybody. I'll put the link to the recording in the recording section of my website tomorrow. Yeah, until then, stay happy, stay healthy, peace, love, joy, and purpose to you all. And remember, those 4 things can only be found within. They're not found in externals. I have a lot of love and respect for all of you, even though some of
Tom,
you. What was that?
Tom, I just
Yeah.
want to say, I lost most of your father's books, so I really appreciate you reading once a week.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'm actually, if certain people would actually work, I'm supposedly going to be reading his major books and getting them up on Audible. So stay tuned for more news about that, because they are no longer being printed. His books are no longer in print. They are antiquated, according to the publisher. I'm like, well, isn't the Bible antiquated? Oh God. But yeah, so we're gonna do audiobooks, and I'm gonna keep doing the Friday night thing no matter what, because every time I read my dad's words, I learn something new. Um, that was the magic power he had to teach you things that you could learn from at every stage of your life. Yeah. All right, everybody. Peace and love. Stop.